Hello everybody, welcome back. We're going to continue now talking about some of the instruments found in a jazz rhythm section. Okay, the jazz band rhythm section. Uh, Almost all jazz bands contain three instruments in the rhythm section. That would be the piano, bass, and drums. Okay, almost every jazz band has those three instruments. Okay, so sometimes we have electric piano, sometimes we have electric bass, but for the most part we have acoustic piano, acoustic bass, and the drums. And again, like the other the horn demonstrations, I will provide a link for you so you can see these instruments at length. Okay, let's talk first a little bit about the piano and its job. I think everyone out there knows what a piano looks like, and most of you probably have even played a piano. So in jazz, the piano has a few different roles to play. Its main function is to provide harmony, and we will discuss all these different terms very shortly. So just hang on with me, and we'll define each of these terms. But right now, just take notes as you see fit, and just listen, I think, most importantly. So when we speak of harmony, we're really speaking of chords, and that's spelled C-H-O-R-D-S. Chords. We define a chord in this class as two or more notes played at the same time. Okay, so if I play two or more notes at the same time, that's a chord. If I do that same time, that's a chord. Now most chords contain more than two notes. Okay, so one of the main jobs of the pianist in a jazz band is to provide chords. Now, I want to introduce a concept that's very unique to jazz and was really developed by the great Count Basie and Nat King Cole. Okay, this is a term called comping. C-O-M-P-I-N-G. Comping. And all comping is the playing of chords in a freely punctuated fashion. Okay? So, let me give you an example of comping. A one, a two, a 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so what I was doing there was I was keeping time with my foot, a 1, 2, 3, 4, and I was playing chords whenever I wanted to. Okay, and now if I was playing with a group of people, I would be playing those chords to complement what they are doing. And that's exactly where this term comes from. Comping is short for the terms complementing and accompanying, okay, to accompany somebody. So when the pianist is playing these chords, they are really accompanying another person, providing harmony for that person, maybe for a solo or for a melody. And they are also complementing what that person is playing. So if the horn player went da-da-da, I might go, and I would be having a conversation back and forth with this other musician. And that's really how a lot of music, and especially a lot of jazz, works. It's a constant conversation between the players, okay, talking to each other with their instruments. Okay, so that is comping. Let me show you. I'll show you an example that is not comping, and then I will comp. 1, 2. This is not comping. Ready, go. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Why is that not comping? Because I'm playing on every beat. A 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'll comp. 1, 2. A 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. there, I was playing on whatever beat I would like to, not on each beat. I hope that makes sense to you. So comping, very important term in the jazz vocabulary. Okay, so comping means complementing and accompanying. It also implies that we are playing chords or providing harmony for that particular group. Okay, what else can the pianist do? Well, it can provide harmony. It can take solos, right? It can act as a soloist. What else can the pianist do in a jazz band? The pianist can play the melody. The melody with chords. Okay, so there we have chords, melody, and we have soloing, or something we call in this class improvising. And again, we'll introduce this term a little bit later, but improvisation is really at the heart of jazz. What does it mean to improvise? To make it up as you go. And again, that's one of the unique aspects of jazz, is to make up this art, make up these melodies as we go along. Okay, so that is the pianist. I'm going to bring the computer back over here where we were on our last video and talk a little bit about the bass. Okay, the bass is also a very important instrument in jazz bands. So let me see if I can get this slide up for you. Okay. So I hope you can all see this. I hope you can all see this photo of a bass. This is an acoustic bass, or what we call an upright bass. And it's the bass that you find in symphony orchestras, as well as jazz bands. Okay, sorry about my shadow there. So there we have the upright bass, or acoustic bass. What is the bass player's job in the jazz band? Well, there are several things that a bass player does in a jazz ensemble. One of the first things a bass player does is keep time. The bass player is responsible for keeping time. Okay? So that's a typical what we call bass line that you would hear in jazz. How does the bass player play the instrument? Well, obviously the fingers are up here on the fretboard, and the right hand plucks the strings here. So we have the left hand moving up here on the fretboard, and we have the right hand plucking the strings. So this technique of plucking the strings is called pizzicato. Pizzicato, it means plucking. If a bass player was to use their bow, a bow made out of hairs, okay, we call that arco. So playing with a bow is arco. Playing with the fingers, plucking, is called pizzicato. Okay? Most of the time in a jazz band setting, the bass player uses pizzicato. Okay? So they're plucking each string with the finger, and they're changing notes with their other hand, moving up and down the fretboard. Okay? Does that make sense? I hope it does. So first and main job of the bass player is to keep time. What's another job? To outline the chords. We just learned about chords with the piano. And the bass player's job is just to outline those chords, just to give a hint of what each chord is. And the bass player usually plays the lowest note of the chord and an upper note of the chord and fills in the rest, okay? Here's an important technique that the bass player uses. It's called walking bass. Just like we walk, okay? Just like we walk, the bass player walks as well, okay? So what walking bass refers to, what walking bass refers to is going up and down a scale in a stepwise motion. Ka-ding, ding, 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 ka-ding, ba-ding, boom, 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 ba-doom, boom, 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 ba-doom, boom, boom. Up and down the scales, okay? So a bass player keeps time and outlines the chords. Bass player can also act as a soloist, okay, as well. So those are the three main functions: keep time, outline the chords, act as a soloist. How do they outline the chords and keep time? Through the use of a walking bass, up and down, ascending and descending on a scale, okay, and keeping good time. The last instrument we need to talk about is the drum set, okay? Well, actually, let me play you an example of a bass. Great. All right. So the last instrument that we need to really talk about are the drums, okay? And again, we call a rhythm section piano, bass, and drums because they help provide a foundation for rhythm. Okay, so what is the job of the drummer? Well, we know the main job is to keep time. Okay, the main job of a drummer is to keep time. Okay, drummer uses usually wooden sticks to keep time. Okay, and you can see the different parts of the drum set here.